will send it in for the Heat. Wade looking for the alley-oop, couldn't get it. LeBron on the spin, back to Chalmers. Wade for LeBron, a three to tie. Come on!
Yeah, baby. He waited on the pass. Good job by the Heat. They took the three, but they really weren't looking for it, Eric. They were looking for the first good shot they could get. They looked for the lob first. Then they ran their offense, and it wound up with LeBron in the right corner. He buried it. Now the Heat need a stop with 10.2 seconds left.
11 fourth quarter points for LeBron James. That was his first three tonight, number 31 of the year. Tony wasn't the first option. It was the last option.
No, you're right. He goes to the basket. Chalmers didn't have it. Hits Wade. They try to they double team Wade. And then lead LeBron. Perfect pass by Wade. LeBron catches it in rhythm and buries the three to tie the game. Yeah, baby, you're watching the Heat on Sun Sports, presented by AT&T Uverse.
Man, after all the hate, after all the back and forth on YouTube with me at times defending LeBron James, at times criticizing LeBron James, and that goes across the board with a lot of people, after all the Skip Bayless, after all the other-sided guys that were in defense of LeBron James and the Miami Heat are champions behind Bill Russell award-winning, Finals MVP winning LeBron James. Let that sink in for a moment, guys. There's got to be no more memes of I have as many rings as LeBron or anything like that, because the one thing that was really lacking in LeBron James' repertoire and what he had accomplished throughout his career. I mean, he was a three-time MVP, he had won a scoring title, pretty much every award imaginable. He'd been to the finals twice, and he had came up small at least one of those times. I think the Cleveland time, he was just in over his head. He is an NBA champion, and quite frankly, you can say I'm a LeBron fan. Go ahead, I'm not a LeBron James fan. I watch this guy, and I enjoy watching LeBron James because I enjoy watching great players, just like I enjoy watching Durant and Kobe and every great player that is in the game now. But how can you not be happy for LeBron James at this point, unless you're from Cleveland? Cleveland, I still understand why Cleveland's pissed, but I never really understood why everyone in the world was pissed 2 years later. Cleveland, that's the only place I can say how can you not be happy for LeBron James. But for everyone else, this is one of the greater players to ever play in the NBA. I think that he's put himself in the top 20 of all time, maybe a little bit higher. And I'm going to make a video tomorrow with KJ talking about where he ranks all time in terms of legacy at this point. But he's done it all pretty much at this point. You know, he's won 3 MVPs. He's had the best record, everything. LeBron James is a champion, and there's still going to be some haters, but at this point, most of the LeBron James haters are going to be in the minority, because it's the same thing as when Kobe Bryant won his first championship, and it's eerily similar, really, because he had it. Kobe Bryant probably had a worse NBA, or not a worse NBA Finals, but a worse defeat to lose the year before to Boston, where they got throttled by like 30 points. And then with all that hate, he came back the next year. He won that Finals in 7 games when he was down 3-2 in that series. And that was a moment where I said, you know, this is one of the greater players that's ever played in this game, and I'm really happy to see him get that championship and see people get off his back. And that's the exact same way I feel about LeBron James. Now, I might be changing my tune about LeBron James if people begin the, oh, he's better than Michael Jordan comparisons and everything like that, although I will make a video probably at some point updating the comparison. I think there's a comparison because these are 2 of the top 20 NBA players of all time, but LeBron's not going to be Michael Jordan. Let me say that that's what I believe. But for people to compare it, I'll evaluate that and everything like that. This is more about the Miami Heat winning it. I'm going to get to them in just a second, but all the talk from Skip Bayless, I mean, I guess he still has Tim Tebow to ride on. I really don't think Tim Tebow is going to do anything in the rest of his NFL career. Maybe I'm wrong. But at this point, Skip Bayless is basically useless to watch except for the next week or so. Bottom line is that LeBron James is a champion, and Skip Bayless can say everything he wants at this point, but most of it just doesn't even make any sense anymore. I can't wait to see how he twists LeBron James winning this. But, I mean, all these excuses that it's a shortened season or anything like that. Think about if LeBron James had done what he did last year. Everyone would be saying he choked, right? So when LeBron James wins, you give the guy his just due. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people commenting on this saying I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm not. Because if I was talking about this about a guy like Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, no one would have any problem. But it's going to take some time for people to get adjusted to LeBron James, and I think that a lot of people are beginning to realize that I might not like this guy, but he is one of the greatest players. He's the best player hands down in this game right now. Kevin Durant's a great player, but he's not as good as LeBron overall. And that LeBron James, the one thing that he had not done throughout his career that people were hating on was the fact that he had never finished off and won a title and was not the best player in the NBA Finals on the title, and you can't say that anymore. He just won an NBA Finals MVP, he's an NBA champion, and it's done at this point. LeBron James is NBA champion. The one thing I do hope, though, is that people continue to watch the NBA. The LeBron haters that came to watch just because of LeBron, I hope that they become just more NBA fans now. Because everyone knows that when LeBron James did the decision, it got a lot of people, myself included, back interested in the NBA. And I was certainly a huge NBA fan, but it needed a kickstart. And that drama got the NBA kick-started again, and the last 2 years of the NBA have been absolutely fabulous, and we're going to be seeing a lot of finals featuring the Heat and the Thunder in the near future, and that's an exciting prospect. I mean, I hope the Sixers win a few of those, but in all likelihood that's not going to happen. So to see these two teams, I'd be pretty happy because we're looking at some of the greatest players in the world. And even though this was only a 5-game series, props to Cody, our NASCAR guy who picked this, it was a really good series for the first 4 games. And obviously the 5th game wasn't great. One other excuse before I get on to the Miami Heat, the reffing. No, the reffing certainly was in Miami's favor in a lot of these cases. But at the same time, Miami won the series in 5 games. It wasn't like this came down to a 7-game series. Miami handily won this series, and that's the bottom line. I'm not going to miss out on the rest of the team. Dwayne Wade, he had a really solid overall NBA Finals. For all the people that criticized what he did throughout the NBA playoffs, and a lot of it was earned, but he stepped up yet again in the NBA Finals. This guy is going to be in probably a few more NBA Finals and has a very good chance to be, when it's all said and done, one of the greatest NBA Finals performers of all time because he won a Finals MVP. Last year, it certainly wasn't his fault that they didn't win. And then this year, he had another solid Finals. He wasn't as good as LeBron this year, but he had a great NBA Finals. Props to Dwayne Wade. He might not be the same player he once was, and he might be somewhat on the decline, but man, he's still fun to watch, and you give a lot of credit to Dwayne Wade because LeBron James did not do this by himself. Now, it wasn't like all the people that say he had too much help. If you want to say that, then I hope you're saying that Magic Johnson had too much help when he had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I hope you're looking at all the great duos that have been, and not only Kareem, James Worthy, and that's just one example. But if you look around, there's been a lot of great guys together. I know that they never teamed up via free agency, but they never had that chance to do so, and I think that that's a difference. Bottom line, though, is that they all still had great teammates, and LeBron James didn't have that. Chris Bosh didn't have that, and that's why they teamed up with Dwayne Wade and built not a super team, but pretty damn close to it, to win the NBA Finals in their second year together and put themselves in a great position to win more. Shane Battier, this guy's been one of the best defensive players in the NBA over the last 10 years. A lot of props to him. Chris Bosh worked long and hard in Toronto, and that team was just not good enough. He's been one of the best NBA players over the last 10 years. To see him win this is really a good thing. Mike Miller. Mike Miller is going to be one of the things I really remember because Mike Miller in his 2 years with the Heat has not been great. It's been profiled. The guy before, though, when he was with the Grizzlies, when he's been around the NBA, I think he was with the Rockets, this guy's one of the best three-point shooters. And his back, you can see when he's on the court. He has an awful back. There's rumors of him retiring now. To see him come out and put on a performance like this where he has 22 points, it's one of those guys where you look at in the NBA and you say, you know, I'm happy that guy won a ring. Obviously, all the buzz is going to go to LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, mostly LeBron James. But to see guys like Battier and Juwan Howard, some of these guys, Mike Miller, that have been in the league for a long time and haven't won. To see James Jones get a ring is nice. My boy Macaroni Turiaf gets a ring. I mean, Eddie Curry gets a ring. Hell, how could I have forgot that? It's a great day. It's nice to see some of these guys get championships. That's what I'm getting at. Udonis Haslem gets his second ring. Norris Cole gets a ring, as I mentioned. And Eric Spoelstra, I give a lot of credit to Pat Riley because Eric Spoelstra is an average coach at best, and he very well could have pulled the plug on this and probably at times should have. But it was he never really, I don't think, had any intention of coaching or firing Eric Spoelstra, and that allowed Eric Spoelstra to not always be looking over his shoulder, and he talked about that pressure that he already had from the media. If he had it with Pat Riley there too, then this whole thing could have come crashing down and it could have been a complete disaster. And you give a lot of credit to Pat Riley, and Eric Spoelstra's not a very good head coach, I'll put it that way. He was blessed with a just incredible team. But it is, I can't even think of what the word would be, but it is for Eric Spoelstra to win. You do give him a lot of credit because he's taken a lot from the media, myself included, over the past few seasons. Who does the blame go to? I'll look for the Thunder. Not Kevin Durant. I know some people are going to say, oh, well, he's the best player. No. Doesn't go to Kevin Durant. He had a great series. Not really Russell Westbrook. He had some really bad moments in the series, but he also had some really great moments. And in the end, Russell Westbrook played his style, and in a few of the games it did not work. But without when Russell Westbrook is going to work, he's shooting the same amount of shots, and that's when the Thunder would have won this championship. So a little goes to Russell Westbrook. I'd put more on guys like James Harden, who's a lot of it's going to go to. I'll give a little to Serge, a little to Kendrick. I mean, it goes around. Scott Brooks is a very good head coach, and he got out-coached in this series by Eric Spoelstra. No questions asked, and, I mean, that's certainly there to mention. Where do they go from here? I think that Scott Brooks is... he declined an extension a few weeks ago, so we'll see what happens there. This team is going to be around for a while, though, and they're going to win numerous championships. Kendrick Perkins is probably going to be gone, so they can afford to re-up guys like James Harden and Serge Ibaka, which makes sense. And that's unfortunate because Kendrick Perkins is one of my favorite players in the NBA. This guy is one of those guys that when he's on the court, he will kill you. He will do anything to win, and that's the type of players that I like. So to see Kendrick Perkins go from there is probably going to be tough. But this team is going to lock up a few of those young stars, put some pieces around it. It might take another year or two for them to get enough of those young pieces back around, but certainly Kevin Durant is going to be a champion sooner rather than later, and the same thing goes with Russell Westbrook. And I think in the next couple seasons, Russell Westbrook very well could win an MVP, and I think Kevin Durant will as well. Final thing, guys, LeBron James is an NBA champion. No matter which side of it you're on, it was a fun 2 years. Or whether you're just in the middle like me, it was a fun 2 years of debating this, talking about this, and I'm going to miss this. This is one of the funnier and more exciting times in my lifetime of talking about the NBA. Probably second to when the Sixers went to the finals in 2001. This 2 year stretch, it's been fun, it's been great, and now... I talked about it a few weeks ago or when I made that Michael Jordan and LeBron James video. And I said that we might look back at this in a few years, LeBron will never win a ring talk, and kind of laugh at it. Because they say once you get that first one, more and more come. And I think LeBron James will get numerous championships. Would I be shocked if he leaves the NBA with 5? No, I tend to think he'll get 2, 3, 4. But, I mean, who knows? He's 27 years old. He's going to be with this team. after, I mean, his contract is then up. I mean, who knows? He could go to another team in a few years and help them win a championship. He's going to be around for a while, and he is, before it's all said and done, in my mind, going to be one of the top 10 players of the NBA. And this is kind of that day, as he said, it's about damn time. LeBron James is an NBA champion, and the Miami Heat are the 2012 NBA champions.